Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 15 of Building Jam. Now, the joy of building a startup is that you get to learn a lot from a lot of different people. But usually, these conversations, these meetings are not recorded. But in this season of Building Jam, we're bringing all of these conversations, the raw conversations, where we ask about our startup, we get feedback from people, and ask questions directly to you. Today, our guest is Jason Levin. He's the head of growth at Product Hunt. He's also the author of Memes Make Millions, and he's going to talk to us about how he's using community led growth to grow Product Hunt. We learned a lot from this conversation, so let's get into it.
I'm actually curious to start with what are some of the top lessons you've learned leading growth at Product Hunt about building online communities?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is really engaging with your community is so undervalued. Like you can't just post; it's not a one-way channel. Actually sending DMs, responding with silly cat memes, just retweeting users. Even Product Hunt has a big account, and so when we're able to retweet a user that does really well or just launches, like it is huge for them, right? And then honestly, like it's been really beautiful to see how excited people are when I hit them with a follow or a DM and just say like, I love what you're working on. It's like, oh my God, like I can't believe it. And these are kids who are indie hackers, maybe, in random countries, or maybe they're 18, 19 and they're just getting started and they're just so excited. And so for me, like, community can scale sort of on social media, but the one-to-one connections and the friendships that you build, the messages, that can't scale. No AI can do that, nothing like that. um, I would say those are some of the main things.
And where are your community living in terms of the social platforms? Like I know I mean I would imagine Twitter. I'd imagine like also Instagram too. I know you have a big following there, but where are your people?
Yeah, Twitter's the most important for us. We definitely have users on Instagram, TikTok, etc. But our main focus and my main focus that I was given is to get as many cool startups launching as possible on Product Hunt. Because if we don't have cool startups launching every day, nobody goes to the website. So, and all the cool startup founders, as you all know, are on Twitter. That's where most of us are building, is Twitter, maybe LinkedIn as well. So honestly, like Instagram and TikTok haven't been as much the focus in the last few months. We're going to start putting out more content there, but Twitter has been the number one platform. It just has, everybody, every founder on there is down to retweet Product Hunt, or at least shout us out or something.
Okay, the first problem that I wanted to talk to you about is Product Hunt is this enormous scale. It's just the scale of Product Hunt is super global and just millions of builders. Right now, one of the challenges we have is there used to be a time where we knew all the users, or we knew the most power users, and now it's sort of getting out of hand where we don't feel like we have those personal relationships with such a high percentage. And so how do you said, so the question I was going to bring you is how should we do this at scale? And you said just do things that don't scale. What does that playbook look like? What are these DMs you're sending, and who do you retweet?
Yeah.
Sort of how do we do this?
Yeah, I would say literally like sending DMs, just any chance you get. People are so excited. If I see somebody who's working on a cool project, I just send them a DM and say like, "This looks awesome." It could just be something super simple, or I hit them with a follow. And a lot of times, people are so excited they tweet out that the Product Hunt kitty followed them, which is always like such a happy feeling. And so, I think when I'm sending DMs, it's really like just building these friendships and building these relationships where I see people are working on cool stuff. And, the power users on Product Hunt, the Mark Laus, the Peter Levels, obviously we try to engage with the power users, but it's also the young up and coming ones who are 18, 19, hacking on their first project, that we want to make them feel like you're not just going to launch on Product Hunt once, you're going to launch for life. And we want to give them that warm and fuzzy feeling, and really just make sure that they're happy. And even if their first launch doesn't go well, they go launch again, right? Because a lot of times that happens. And so, yeah, we really want to help them feel like an emotional connection with Product Hunt, that there's somebody behind the brand account. Like if I'm messaging somebody, I'll say, hey, it's Jason Levin, like, and then maybe send them a meme or say, I love what you're working on. Like they should know that there's a person behind there, not just the Product Hunt cat logo, as cool as it is.
Do you DM
So
from your account or from
there's
Product Hunt?
this.
Oh,
I
sorry.
DM from Product Hunt's account. Sometimes I DM from my account as well. But if I'm on the Product Hunt account and I'm scrolling and I see something, then I just send them a message, and then maybe we take it off DMs there. But most of the time starts with Product Hunt. Also, Product Hunt's account has been around for a long time, so it has, a lot of random people following it. So it helps out there as well.
You talk about this part about really making them feel special. You're DMing them, sending funny memes. But how are you, like on a tactical level, how are you managing all these relationships? Like, do you have like a CRM that you set up? Do you just like have like a Notion table or a spreadsheet where you're keeping track of them? Like, what does that look like for you when you're like, hey, I'm building relationship with these people?
Yeah, for me, I personally don't use one. For some of the other parts of the company, they use one. But for me, like, I don't know, I'm glued to Twitter. I'm on there a lot. And so I see the same familiar faces. And literally, I was on the phone yesterday with somebody I found from Product Hunt. We just hopped on the phone, talked about what they're working on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm blessed with like, I can remember a lot of names. And so if I see somebody's name once, I'm going to remember it for a long time, forever. And, I think, what is it? The number, what is it? Maslow's? No, Dunbar's number. I think it's a lot bigger on the internet. And so if you're running a brand account, you should be able to know like your top 1,000 people that you're talking to. I don't know. Maybe that's just a hot take there, but
I'm curious to get your advice. We've thought about doing a Slack with our power users for years
yeah.
now, but we've never been part of a Slack that actually felt special and personal and meaningful. And so we're like, oh, we have these like one-on-one relationships actually over like email and coffee chats that feel real. What if we just add them to a Slack and it just falls flat?
I understand that. I have a Slack community that I run for my newsletter, and I was very worried about setting up a Slack because, as well, I was like very bearish on it. But for me, like the main thing was for my community, we do weekly calls, and so you actually get to know the people in Slack. It's not just a chat. I think that's super powerful. And then also like making the introductions to other people in the Slack obviously makes it like a stickier network. So if somebody, joins and introduces themselves and says, I work at Cloudflare, then I, comment underneath and say, hey, meet Danny. She worked at Cloudflare, and try to like build these friendships. And so it's gotten to the point in my personal community where people are like meeting and I'm not even there, which is cool. Like in Austin or in SF or something, like people have met up. And like that is, I think, to me, the ultimate goal. And we have that at Product Hunt as well, where people are, having events in Taiwan and all over the place. And so I think really just building those friendships is really powerful.
What happens in your weekly calls for your Slack?
Yeah, for my personal Slack, it's actually really fun. So the first half hour, we kind of discuss different marketing strategies. So if there's something that, say, Lulu Maserbi, she's one of my favorite heroes in the PR world, maybe she posts about something going on, we discuss that. Or maybe we go through, a new kind of growth tactic that each of us are trying. Or, my LinkedIn has been growing, so I go through that. So that's the first half hour, and then the second half hour is a lot more fun. We just make memes, and we kind of make memes for our brands, whatever each of us are working on. We just kind of I built this Figma multiplayer meme kind of environment, and so we just hang out, chat, make memes for whatever companies we're working on, and help each other out and have fun. So it's been cool.
What does that look like? I'm curious. Can you actually show like?
Yeah, can I share my screen? Is that possible?
Please.
Yeah, so you can see like we've got all the classic old memes, and personally I think Figma is better for memes because it's visual, and I wrote a book about memes and I can never remember the name of memes. So like for people who aren't deep in the meme world, like how are they supposed to remember the name? And so you could just kind of look, and it's fully visual, which is nice, and then just dig in and change it. And then, because I'm running this thing called meme alerts now, I don't know if you guys have seen, I send out a daily newsletter with new memes for $6.9 per month. And so we also update with all the newest memes here. And so at any given point, like you could see, I think somebody else is on right now making memes. And so the idea is like, I want it to turn into this meme war zone where everybody's just kind of having fun doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And so how is someone using, like, you go and you just like copy the frame and then just like do your own
Like
thing, and
if I
are you
want to
like
say, if I want to say like jam, like something like that, and I don't know why the font
Wait,
got
this is so good. Should we tweet it?
I don't know why the font got changed, but like something like that, like or maybe I've done this one before. It's like engineers, like marketers. So stuff like that, like everybody has their own brand and what they're working on, so they could kind of do their own thing with it depending on what it is. Like I have people in my community, one who's working on like a climate tech software, so he does memes around that. I have other people who are working on AI sales automation stuff, and so that's what's cool about memes is you can memes about anything. Stop sharing the screen here.
I wasn't planning to ask you about advice about this, but now that we're on the topic of memes, I kind of wonder. We think a lot about the meme space or like how ideas spread. And so like when we talk about memes at Jam, we're usually not talking about like what you just showed, like images with text on it. We're talking about like an idea that spreads. And one of the interesting and tricky things about building Jam is nothing like it has ever existed before. It's a new meme, and we have to spread that this is the new way of doing things. And curious if there are things that you've learned by writing a book about memes, by being the meme person of the internet, like to help companies like us, or like us specifically, I don't know, think about that.
Yeah, simplicity and repetition, I think, are really powerful. So if you think about just the name Memes Make Millions, right? My book title, it's very simple. People say it. I've now like seen it been quoted in blog posts, Greg Eisenberg and stuff like that. And it's a very simple name, right? It is a meme in itself, the idea that memes make millions. And then the repetition of it, I put it everywhere. I even have shirts that say Meme Lord. So I think repetition is really powerful. It gets it in people's heads. And people might get annoyed, but for one person who gets annoyed, there's 50 people who have never seen it before, right? Because the internet's so big. And repetition is just, it's just putting in reps. It's powerful, right? And it's building that muscle in their head of what is this, and it builds up that mind space, like we've talked about before.
Like, I guess one example for us, Danny, would be sort of like send me the jam, right? Or like, what is it, like all of our phrases that are whatever our jammy phrases, like, oh, show me the jam, like whatever, like us referring to the verb, like, oh, just jam it, show me the jam, do all these. They feel like concrete applications of this. Like we want these phrases to be ones that we like. We obviously repeat them, but if you've never heard a jam, then it makes you ask the question.
Exactly.
That is awesome. And we should, what I watched yesterday? I was looking for an old video for Ian for something, and I found when Urtifa and I dressed up as beekeepers and we put real jam on real bugs. And we're like, put jam on it. But that's, I think that if we're looking for a simple and repeatable phrase to bring back.
Yeah, I really think the repeatable phrases is just so powerful, like owning the slogan of it. We own jam, like you guys, we own jam, right? And so whatever we want to do with that. I mean, yesterday you guys saw, however you feel about it, friend.com, Avi Schiffman apparently paid $1.8 million. And I don't know if that's worth it. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true. I've also heard disputes about that, but whatever he might have paid, it was probably a lot of money, right? And you do that because it's simple and because it's easy to remember. And if you're on TikTok and you say friend.com, that's a lot easier than saying, myaifriend.com, right? I don't know. I just did a podcast with the founder of dupe.com, and their entire strategy has been around that. Actually on TikTok, he repeats it every single TikTok, dupe.com, dupe.com. He says it at least 3 times. And he talks about that is the
Wow.
straight up just repetition of it is really powerful.
It makes me think, when I was growing up, there was this ad for the Shane company on the radio all the time. It was the same ad. And I can tell you, like, their like opening and closing hours to this day. Did anyone else grow up with the Shane
What?
company?
No.
Wait. What is? Wait.
What
Repeat
is
it to
this?
us, Danny.
Open weekdays till 8, Saturdays and Sundays till 5, online at shaneco.com. Anyone else?
No.
But
No.
the reason why I can repeat the whole ad for you, because they never changed their ad. It was a simple and repeated often message, and so it takes up a lot of brain space. Like, that neural pathway is really like solidified. And I wonder if, like, one mistake we make, and actually maybe like it's just like generally made in startups, is every single time we run an ad we change it because we're like, let's do something novel. And it's like to feed our own fun of building. But what if we just were like, this is our one ad, it's one simple and repeatable message, find a bug, put jam on it, and that's the whole thing. And what if that's actually the way you spread a meme?
Yeah, I think it's
I
a
think
mix, right? I mean, that's the difference a lot between like conversion-based marketing and brand-based marketing, right? Because like if you want the conversion stuff, then you gotta like keep switching stuff up so people don't get tired. But if you want people to remember it, like I think doing both is definitely important. Or just switching, keeping the copy but switching up the creative or something like that could be fun.
Speaking of that, Jason, did you see? I mean, you are on Twitter, so you've probably seen this whole controversial thing with like Nike moving away their budget from brand marketing to performance marketing, and how basically it just didn't work. Did you follow that at all?
No, I didn't. What's going on?
So basically, Nike is not doing well because they used to spend a lot of money, billions of dollars, on brand marketing. But last year they had a new CMO, and they basically switched from a lot of money in brand marketing to giving it to performance marketing. And the idea behind that was, brand marketing, you cannot really measure it, but
Hmm.
performance marketing you can. Like, you're running ads, you can see the conversion, you can see the installs, how many people are buying those sneakers, going through the flow. And they spent a lot more money because the idea was, hey, it's just easy to measure this, versus brand, we don't know if it's working or not. um, but the market has spoken. The stock price is not doing well, uh, buying fewer sneakers, and they're attributing that to like their shift in like how they allocated the budget, and how brand was so much more important for them, at least for Nike, than performance marketing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of immeasurable. It's tough. It's one of those things where you're almost throwing money at stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. It's hard. I mean, that's what I love about internet-based marketing in general, or most stuff, is I can see how many clicks tweets are getting. I can see, how many newsletter subscribes I'm getting from a certain thread. With UTM tracking, I'm able to do that with all organic. I mean, I'm very bearish on billboards. I'm never buying a billboard. I don't know why you'd buy a billboard unless you just, I don't know. I mean, personally, I guess unless it has a QR code on it or you're using it to go film viral content. But how are you going to track that? Like I have no idea. Like, personally, but um, even organic marketing, people are like, it's not as trackable as ads, but like it is. You just have to do a better job tracking it, which you can, and just measure all the data. Like it's harder. It doesn't just say it in a dashboard like CPA on Facebook ads, but it's also free, so it's nice.
Well, one thing you always do, Jason, is like you always make the ask too. I noticed in your content, this is less so about how it's tracked, but like the subject of what you're saying, or the content of what you're saying, of like, I'm Jason Levin, the head of growth at Product Hunt. Follow for more. Like you always, I think as I've got into it, there's this hesitation that you're like, oh, that's not who, like that feels too salesy or too like a not a brand play to do stuff like this. But I think that like just seeing your stuff every day, I think like that is a meme that you're hitting home. It's like follow for more. Like actually make the call to action a concrete call to action. Right?
It works. It really works. People might say it's cringe, but I have an essay called "Cringe is the New Cool." Embrace the cringe. Like it works. Is making money cringe? I don't think so personally. We're dealing with this right now with Product Hunt, sort of, or not different way, but like Rajiv was very our CEO Rajiv was very worried about kind of that thing, right? And so now we're kind of working on threads together where it's like, I am the CEO of Product Hunt. I've launched on Product Hunt 7 times, blank, blank, blank. And, he talked, slacks me the other day. He's like, I guess I really am that guy. Like, I got to embrace, like, I am the CEO of Product Hunt. And I think it's like surreal for him because, especially his background, he launched on Product Hunt for like a decade. And then now he's CEO. He's like, I am the CEO. Like, I gotta own that. Right. And there's something really powerful when you are willing to own it. It's like, all right, like, I guess, like, he is who he says he is. Like, this is it, I don't know. I think there is something powerful in that. And yeah, it could get repetitive. So I definitely try to switch things up a bit. But you got to ask, if you want something, you should ask for it. If you want people to follow you, if you want people to subscribe to your newsletter, like, you should ask, there's nothing hurts about that. So, yeah.
It's funny. Yesterday I was talking to Cassidy Williams, who is the funniest DevRel person on the internet. And she runs the Stack Overflow podcast. And I was like, how should we grow our podcast? And she's like, do you ask people to subscribe?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. Do you ask people to share? And I was like, no. And she's like, why don't you start there?
That's actually great advice. I haven't even been doing that. I know, like, all the big podcasts do that. Like Pirate Wires, they do that every time. Danny Miranda does that every time. So yeah, that's great advice. That's killer.
What are any other kind of big lessons or stories from this like community-led growth movement at Product Hunt? I feel like you're one of the few companies in the world doing this and at scale in like a super impactful way.
Yeah. I think what I would say is the long-term game of it, like I was saying earlier, is people don't just launch once on Product Hunt. You look at Notion, Figma, Framer, Linear, launch dozens of times, right? And so these people that you might see on Product Hunt 10 years ago, 7 years ago, like, you're going to see them again and again. And maybe you don't check Product Hunt every day, but you go and support them. It's really powerful. And so just building those friendships and supporting each other can pay off dividends. I also think it's just like a good place to make friends. And there's a lot of indie hackers who like become friends because of Product Hunt. They're launching, they see each other building in public, right? The build in public movement is so powerful. You guys know that. And so they just like make friends and support each other. It's really that simple. And Product Hunt, we're fortunate in the sense that like we have a lot of cool builders who are all building at the same time, like, to try to launch on Product Hunt. And so I think the main thing is like joining together as a community, embracing the competition of it for Product Hunt, and making sure people know, like, yes, it is the greatest game on the internet with millions of dollars at play, but it's also supposed to be fun. So like, make sure you're having fun and make some friends along the way and support each other. And if you launch once, it doesn't go well, go launch again in 6 months. Linear, we were looking through history yesterday. Linear's first launch had 18 upvotes. Total failure,
Wow.
right? Total
Wow.
failure. Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Companies, like, they don't always kill it on the first launch. So like, these founders are going to be launching years later. And so being able to meet people, support them early in their journey is really powerful, in my opinion.
We don't relate to that. Our first launch had no issues and we never needed to launch again. Let me just show you the number of launches we're talking about here.
Exactly. The history of launches. Yeah. I mean, that's
first we
solid.
launched, no PMF. And we're like, what if we did this thing? No PMF, no PMF, no PMF, no PMF. And then these last two have been in the new world.
Yeah.
Jam Genies. I've never heard that one before.
It was so
Jam
cool.
Genies? What is Jam Genies?
Jam Genies was a network of website experts who would poof into your Jam workspace and give you a bunch of feedback right away. And it was so awesome. It was like Brie Kimmel and Soleo. It was like all the people you would love to have give you real feedback for like builders. It was like limited spots available. And then it was paid and they donated the money. Like everyone had like different causes. It was so cool.
That's it.
Some people also reached out to me and they were upset that they were not considered as genies. And I apologized to them.
Yeah, that's something actually we have to deal with a lot is angry people for Product Hunt. There's a lot of people who launch the first time and they expect to win. And then there's other people who are, they're very upset they're not featured and they just launched, a Notion template. And it's like, Product Hunt is built for SaaS, and this took you 20 minutes. Like, not being a jerk here, but like, come on, like you got to be realistic here. Like, people spend hours and hours and hours on launch and even raise money and do all these kind of things. And so that's something that we've had to learn to deal with, what to ignore, what not to. I think that's it's always a fun topic, and how to support people best is really important. It's like another also fun tidbit about Product Hunt, which I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think it's fun. The only people you see hating on Product Hunt are the people who are buying spam upvotes, and I could see that in the admin mode. And so if somebody is hating on Product Hunt, they don't actually like Product Hunt. They don't value it. They don't value the community. So they fill it with crap, and then they hate on it on Twitter. And they're the ones buying spam, and then they're mad that they're not featured or that we took away their spam votes. And then they go hate on Product Hunt. And it's so funny. It's just a virtuous cycle of crap.
Question.
Yeah.
Every time we launch on Product Hunt, we get a bunch of like DMs from people trying to sell us spam votes. Like, they'll try to sell us like the number one spot. And there's so many people selling it. There must be people buying it. Like, what's happening?
Yeah, so there is a whole Product Hunt underground economy that we are trying to quash. And we are getting better every day at that. We are pretty good at detecting spam, but there are people who make a living selling upvotes that are then removed. Scammers be scamming. I don't know what else to say. It's like anything else. There's companies that sell Reddit upvotes, and any leaderboard of any kind, there will be ways to cheat. But like, the funny thing is they don't actually work. So it's kind of, they're just scamming. Like, that's really it. My main advice around Product Hunt, is have a good product. That's like number one, obviously, and try multiple times, and then also get your community involved. Would be the main thing. Is like, don't be afraid to like hit up friends. Don't bribe anybody, but like, tell your friends, go ask them. It's like what we were talking about earlier. Go ask them for support, and don't feel any shame about that. Like, I really, if you have a community of friends and startups, like, yes, go ask them.
So Jason, I have one selfish question for you.
Please.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering about live demos on Twitter versus non-live edited, polished demos on Twitter. Right? Because like, I like it when I edit stuff and make it look really nice, but of course I see all these things go viral on Twitter all the time. It's just you actually show the thing and show it working.
Yeah.
What's your thought on this?
So that's a great question, and also relates back to Product Hunt. The best Product Hunt launches, I think, are not the animations, not the flashy. It's simple, right? Maybe it's on a screen like this, but it shows the product. Like, that's the most important thing. And I think as well, on Twitter, is showing the product. If you have OpenAI money, sure, maybe do like a giant demo, but I don't know if it's always worth it. I think I would kind of test them, see what does better as well. Yeah. I think it depends on product too. Yeah. I think it really does depend the product. Like, I don't know, like the Devin thing, like, I know that caused a bit of controversy because people were like, is this even real? Like, that's been happening more and more now, I feel like. And so I think there is a little bit of alpha in just showing like, a real video, you sneeze in the middle and you're like, oh, this is like unedited. This is real, So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Sneeze in the middle. Next time we have to rehearse that.
Yeah, just
make sure we do that.
Make sure people know that this is like legit. This is not like some giant big budget production. This is just us showing our software that we built. I don't know. It really depends the strategy you want to go about it. Yeah.
Last 3 minutes, I'm curious to get your honest feedback and advice. Like, you've seen how we're trying to do community-led growth at Jam. You run growth at the community-led company of the decade. Um, any feedback or advice from us? What should we be doing differently?
I think Jam is doing a fantastic job. One thing that I did say before was getting a verified on Twitter for Jam and then giving affiliate badges. I think it gets you more reach for the affiliates, and it also builds the brand. So then, like Ian, everybody will have the Jam logo next to you, and it builds this mafia of Jam creators, right? Where people are seeing Jam's logo more and more, and it's $1,000 per month and then $50 per affiliate. And what's also nice is it gives you affiliate tools where you could see breakdown of metrics per affiliate, which is like a new feature they added. So that's the one thing that I would add. Not every company wants to do it. I know we've talked about this, but that's really it. I think Jam's doing an amazing job. People love Jam. People love the content. People love the events, and so that's the only thing that I would add. Yeah.
For those listening, all of that is like kudos to Jason. Ran our first event, got us on the internet, ran the Jam Twitter account at first.
It's still day one, just the beginning of Jam. Gonna keep having fun. So, this was awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Jason.